This is how I went from 78.4 kilos to 61.7 kilos. But before I get into how I lost the weight, here's a little backstory of how I gained the weight. When I was in primary school, I wouldn't say that I was overly skinny or overweight. I played a lot of sports growing up, and once I hit around age 9, I started playing soccer. This is where I really started being active, and I probably was my skinniest. And by the time I was in grade 6, I was captain of the soccer team and the fittest I'd ever been in my life. Once I started high school at age 12, I was still playing soccer and I was still very fit. Even though I was still playing soccer, I did notice that I was starting to gain some weight once I got into high school. I specifically remember trying on school clothes, the new uniform that I was going to be wearing when I go to high school, and I could see man boobs for the first time. And this was like the first time in my life I'd ever been insecure. And I thought that it was the shirt at the time. I remember thinking that I had gyno or something, but no, I was just starting to gain weight and I didn't want to accept it. Like I said, even though I was playing soccer, I was slowly starting to gain some weight. This probably boils down to my nutrition, and I didn't know what was good, what was bad, and I would just come home from school and have these massive binges. But once I turned 13, everything changed. I stopped playing soccer, which I had played pretty much my entire life, and that's all I knew, and started playing footy. Just a little side note, I was horrible at footy and I felt like it was too late for me to pick it up. Everybody in my team had been playing since they were like 6 or 7 years old, and I was just used to soccer. But I tried out footy, I didn't really like it that much, and then I started year 9. Once I started year 9, I turned 14. I played maybe one game of the footy season and I decided I didn't want to do it anymore. I specifically remember my mum dropping me to training, and as soon as she would drive off, I wouldn't go to training. I would just walk around the ovals, or I'd go somewhere else and then come home or get her to pick me up around the ovals, and she'd think that I'd gone, but I just didn't have that passion for it. Once I finally told her I didn't want to play footy anymore and I quit the team, I started playing video games. This is where things took a turn for the worst, as I was no longer exercising and my diet was only getting worse. Started hitting puberty, which means I was eating more, led to more calories, and just overall unhealthy habits. So at age 14, I'm playing video games all the time, I'm doing zero exercise, and I'm eating the most I've ever eaten in my life. So after doing this at age 14 in year 9, I continued doing it for a whole nother year, but only at a larger scale. Once I hit year 10 and I was 15, I was the biggest I ever was. This is when I got to 78.4 kilos. And I was doing the least amount of exercise in my life, and I was eating the most I'd ever eaten in my life. Some of the meals that I would eat is like a massive bowl of ice cream and peanut butter, or when no one was home, I'd eat the whole tub of Nutella. I would come home from school and just absolutely binge. At this point in my life, I was the biggest I ever was. I had low self-esteem, low confidence, and I used to make fun of myself to make myself feel better. I used to make fat jokes about myself to make others laugh because I was so insecure. It wasn't until January 8, 2020 that I started my weight loss journey. I specifically remember this day because my friend Hunter had a home gym and he had just told me about a workout he had done and how he was so excited for all the progress he was going to make throughout the year. This really motivated me, and it motivated me to take a video of my body and start my own journey. But little did I know that day was going to change everything. It started off with just little workouts indoors or in my backyard. I would just run in my backyard or walk in my backyard, or I had a punching bag. I would do some workouts with that, and it was really good. But the main issue was my diet. I was doing these exercises, but you can't out-train a bad diet. I still didn't know anything about nutrition. So all throughout lockdown in 2020, I was doing all this cardio. I would like to say I went through different eras. It started with like the boxing era. I had a skipping era, riding my bike era. There was going for night walks and runs. But still, I didn't see as much progress as I wanted to because of my diet. This wasn't until year 12, which was when I discovered a calorie deficit. And I still didn't have a good understanding of nutrition, but it was a lot better from what I did have. Also, at the end of year 11, when I was 16, I got a set of weights for Christmas, which changed everything as well. In year 11, I really started to shed off all of that fat. And then by the time year 12 came around, I was fairly skinny and I was slowly starting to put on muscle. I would say the first half of year 12 was really calorie deficit heavy, which I did see a lot of progress with and did get me fairly skinny. But the second half of year 12 is when I started eating a lot of protein. And I would like to attribute a lot of my success to a low calorie, high protein diet, which was what really got me shredded. I say shredded, quote unquote shredded, because I really wasn't too shredded. I mean, I may have looked shredded, but I was only 61 kilos, so I was very skinny at the time. I think I showed a lot of definition because of one, genetics, but two, also, I sort of had naturally bulked without even knowing what a bulk was. All of those binges after school is what attributed to this bulk. Essentially, I did a dirty bulk without even knowing what a dirty bulk was. But anyways, that's how I managed to lose a little over 15 kilos from ages 16 to just before I turned 18.